Clément Bonnereau is here to take us through what's grabbing the verified international headlines. Hello to you, Clément. We're going to start with what's been our main news story here on France 24, of course. This is the evacuation of civilians from eastern Aleppo.
That's right. Just take a look at the front page of Metro. The headline reads, "Escape Aleppo as if Aleppo were a prison." You see also in this photo a convoy of buses leaving eastern Aleppo, and you can get a sense of the state of destruction in the war-torn city, with many buildings here having been reduced to rubble. Let's take a look now at another photo, this time on the front page of The Times. You see a little girl sitting on a bus waving at the photographer, and you can see she's actually wearing a hat. Well, this is a reminder that the residents of Aleppo have been facing very tough weather conditions, with temperatures dropping well below zero.
Indeed. Well, what's next for these evacuees then, Clément?
Well, Swiss newspaper Le Temps says those evacuees are now like zombies. They've had nothing to eat or drink for weeks, and their fate is uncertain. Le Temps reports that some could now head to camps in Turkey. Others could choose to stay in the rebel-held province of Idlib, but you can hardly call it a safe place, as Bashar al-Assad has now vowed to recapture the area.
So what's being done to help these people?
Well, according to The Guardian, not much. The British paper says civilians are now facing death, as many still have limited access to food and, in particular, medical provisions. The Guardian says that the recapture of Aleppo was so sudden that aid agencies had very little time to anticipate and prepare for this humanitarian tragedy.
Well, let's take a look now at the bigger impact in terms of Syria and the forces fighting on the ground. Does the fall of Aleppo, Clément, mark the end of the Syrian civil war?
Well, newspapers are unanimous in saying that this is just the beginning of a new phase in the Syrian conflict. Jordanian paper Al-Ghad says that the fall of Aleppo is undoubtedly a major victory for Syria and its Russian ally, but warns it's not the end of the war. Bashar al-Assad now intends to recapture all rebel-held areas in Syria. But as Lebanese paper L'Orient Le Jour reports, he can't do it alone. He's had to rely on help from Russia, of course, in the past, but also Shiite militias and even Iranian special forces. Now, unless Russia and Iran step forward to provide a lot more assistance, Assad's strategy is doomed to fail. Two-thirds of Syria are still in the hands of either rebel groups or the Islamic State group.
And could Russia provide more assistance?
Well, that's precisely the question being asked by the Russian press this morning. The Moscow Times says Aleppo's fall puts Syria's fate in Moscow's hands. Russia now faces a choice. Either it indulges the ambitions of the Syrian regime and Iran by helping to wipe out the Syrian opposition completely, or it uses the fall of Aleppo to broker a deal between the Syrian government and rebels. The Russian paper says the second option would allow Moscow to cash in politically while minimising the risks of mission creep.
Well, let's stay with Russia. And there have been claims that Moscow have interfered in last month's presidential election in the US to boost the chances of Donald Trump. How's the press reacting to that this morning?
Well, it's on the front page of The Times this morning. The election was hacked on Putin's command. The CIA says it's gathered overwhelming evidence that Russian hackers linked to the Kremlin hacked the emails of the Democratic Party earlier this year. Donald Trump obviously has dismissed that claim as being ridiculous, but many have accused him of links to Russian President Vladimir Putin. And I've got a cartoon for you from USA Today. You can see here a Christmas elf adding Donald Trump to the nice list. That's the list of children who've been nice and will receive presents from Santa Claus. And you can see Santa standing behind him and suggesting this is the work of Russian hackers.
I want to know who's in that naughty cam up there. That looks rather interesting. Now, President Barack Obama, he has vowed to take action against Russia. How can the US combat these Russian hackers?
Well, the New York Times says the US has limited options. Russia does not extradite its citizens, meaning hackers can't be prosecuted in the US. Russia has also been quite indifferent to public shaming in the past. Now, the US has been able to arrest suspected hackers so long as they leave Russia, but as one of the FBI officials cited in the article says, you can indict 400 people, they don't care. There are thousands of potential hackers with a similar set of skills, and you just can't arrest arrest them all.
OK, well, let's finish on a lighter note now. News coming in from England. The word Brexit has been officially added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
That's right, and the term was added just 5 years after it was coined, as Politico reports, which is quite unprecedented. Brexit is defined as the proposed being in brackets, withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union and the political process associated with it. Now, as Politico notes, it's a word whose meaning could actually change over time, as obviously negotiations are still underway. Other words have been added to the dictionary this month, including Grexit. And other words could be considered in the future should momentum grow for EU membership referendums. Nexit, Frexit, and even Oexit, which is for, I don't know if you can guess the country.
Austrian exit?
Austria, absolutely.
Should be exit then, if we're being pedantic. What does it mean, Brexit? Well, it means Brexit according to Theresa May. Thank you very much. Clément Bonnereau.